marketplaces are just like $5, $10, or the cheapest person wins. That's what some mentality of people is.
I blame Fiverr for that, to be honest. I mean, it's literally in their name.
What people inherently assume that if I'm going on a marketplace, I'll get a success.
A lot of people want to list a low quality service and think that money will just fall on them, like out of the sky, and it drives me up the fucking wall.
What's your things or like major things that you have learned in regards to selling?
No one cares. That's the thing that they get wrong in sales a lot, is that people don't want to listen to what people need. They want to sell them what they have.
Until you get the money, keep your mouth shut.
People think that agency is like a level above freelancing. I know freelancers that will crush your agency with how well they do. One person, two people maybe, with 5, 10 clients, that's no different than being a freelancer.
Glorified freelancers, I would say.
First thing you do is learn how to do something. Then you decide how big you want this to be. Then you treat it like a business. Then you work on your presentation so that it's very, very good and will convert. And then you start getting traffic really easy. Like AI automation agency, if I wanted to do an agency today, that's what I would do. We do about $60,000 a month in sales there.
That's because you own the platform.
No, not at all. See, a lot of people think that, but no.
How do you go about building an international team? Hi everyone, Devvrat this side, and welcome to one another podcast. This is where I would be sitting with Chris and going through the whole journey of how he built this platform. Legit. We'll ask a lot of questions for all the freelancers who want to scale from India internationally. And Chris, while we were having a chit chat, he said that he has a lot of freelancers on his platforms from India selling. So what we are essentially trying to build is one of the biggest communities of freelancers, agency owners from India selling their services globally. And Chris is here to add value. Also, Chris is also coming physically. He's doing one event in India. More about that coming into the podcast. Chris is someone I've personally been following while I was building my Fiverr profile. We have a couple of success stories of people from Legit. So over to you, Chris. Introduce yourself to the audience and what's Legit all about? And is it legit?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to finally talk to you. I've known you for on and off for a little while now.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess my name is Chris Walker. I've been in SEO. I started in SEO around 10 years ago. I guess it's been closer to 12 years ago now. Wow. And then I went full time in 2016. And I was doing SEO clients, affiliate, and I was doing freelancing on another marketplace. And eventually that marketplace went away for various reasons. And I partnered with a developer around that time and we launched Legit. It was just going to be like an extra product for my SEO business, but it took off very quickly. And that's been 7 years now since we started it. Originally, the goal was, like I said, just to have another product to take place of that other marketplace. But since then, we've kind of built it into a whole different thing. Like I have a lot of experience with freelancing myself, so I'm able to put those lessons into it. And, we're trying to build it into be more than just a marketplace too, and give people all the training, the tools, the tracking, everything they need. And one thing we try to do differently is most platforms consider the customer their customer and the freelancer their product. We don't look at it that way. We look at the customers and the freelancers as our customers. So we try to take care of both of them and do the right thing, no matter the situation, no matter who is, we don't favor one side, I guess is what I'm saying. So, yeah, I guess that answers your question.
Perfect. And what about Superstar SEO? I've heard a lot about it. I've seen a lot about it. What's Superstar SEO?
So that was the SEO business I started when let me just give you a little bit more background. So the way I stumbled onto SEO in the first place was I was working and I was doing tech support for a real estate development company here where I live in Myrtle Beach. And I needed to make some extra money to pay off some debt. So I was just poking around and stumbled on a blog post about, well, we don't need to get the whole history, but basically the blog post, the writer talked about how he had stopped doing the blog and he was making his living doing something called affiliate marketing, which I'd never heard of at that point. And so I started trying to do that and I had a little bit of success. And then there was a Google update and then that stopped working. So I then kind of transitioned into client SEO and into freelancing. And I was like, well, I need a name for my business. And I thought about it for about 30 seconds and I came up with Superstar SEO. And that's kind of the name I used for my freelancing business. It's still the name I use for my freelancing business and my agency. And I also created a Facebook group out of that, which has around 80,000 members. It's one of the more active Facebook groups. It's almost 10 years old now as in itself. And that's kind of my SEO business. We do, consulting and services and software and training.
Perfect. And is it like millions of dollars now?
Eh, Yeah, I don't really like to talk about my
I
revenue, but
remember I
yeah,
remember your one day, I think it was a Black Friday post or something like that, where you actually crossed like $10,000 orders on just Superstar SEO. So
yeah, it does. On legit, it's Superstar SEO is a freelancer on legit right now,
yes.
among other things, and we do about $60,000 a month in sales there.
And that's
Some months it's less, some months it's more, but
that's because you own the platform, and that's because
no,
you don't
no,
have to
no,
worry.
no, not at all. See, a lot of people think that, but no, I
Yeah.
play by the exact same rules as everybody else. I have no advantage. I get disputes sometimes, and I lose them sometimes. Um, I get bad reviews, not often because I do a good job, but I still get bad reviews from time to time. I don't get any. I'm not Elon Musk where he like on Twitter, like how he purposely bumps up his account. I don't do that. I do the same thing I did when I dominated the first marketplace I was on and every other marketplace I was on, and that's how I've had success. I don't get any advantage for being the owner unless it's like intangible where people just trust me more. But uh, no, I don't. It's not because I'm the owner. No.
Okay, perfect. And what's like how you came across this idea of building this freelancing platform? Like a lot of people just the next phase after they like are on a platform, they think about like, okay, I'm done with this marketplaces. Or a very big misconception I would say is like people think that Fiverr or all this marketplaces are like $5 platform. Like that used to be in the days. And I know a lot about you and building the platform. I've been seeing the growth. So what do you want to say to those people who think that marketplaces are just like $5, $10, or the cheapest person wins? That's what some mentality of people is, specifically when people
Yeah.
just getting started.
Well, I mean, I blame Fiverr for that, to be honest. I mean, it's literally in their name.
Yes.
And I don't want to dunk on them because I know that you have a lot of people that have had success with them.
Yeah.
But to me, they don't focus on quality and they don't focus, not just like good work, but like they don't focus on important stuff. And what I mean by that is like the biggest seller they have is that guy that looks like Jesus that makes videos and they'll say it with a sign or saying whatever you want. Uh, Clearly there's a market for that, but we want to do things that help businesses and help impact people's lives. They just want like tasks for people to do. And I think that's where that perception comes from is that people see it as just a way to get like easy stuff done for cheap. And that's really not true. Like even on Fiverr, like I'm not trying to give them any credit for anything, but I know that people that do very well there, but that's the perception that these places started with. Like that's how they have initially built themselves, and people can't get past that. It's the height of idiocy because, like I said, I make 60 grand a month selling services. I know other people on legit that make more than that selling services. That's more than most people's agencies make. Like people think that agency is like a level above freelancing. I know freelancers that will crush your agency with how well they do. And there's a lot less headaches to deal with that kind of thing with marketplaces than there is with agencies. Now, of course, there's downsides too. You don't control the site and things like that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they have to be so judgmental about it. It's clearly a perception issue. And the fact is, most people that call themselves agencies are really just freelancers if you think about it. Because they're just like one person, two people, maybe with 5, 10 clients. That's no different than being a freelancer, in my opinion.
Glorified freelancers, I would say.
Absolutely.
Glorified freelancers hiding under the pretext. So, okay, if you think about like your journey, like how you transition into all these things, which is you built your own platform and you did. So what is like if somebody is just like brand new, like this is the very first podcast he's watching. He's
Mhm.
clueless. He's let's say someone who has been with an agency, who has worked under a company, who's actually having a job, and he's doing really good with his job. We are just, let's say, not talking with people who are just getting started. They don't know anything about online marketing, but people
Sure.
who have a skill, maybe they know good SEO, maybe they know video editing, SEO, like graphic design. What's a path that you think is the best path to go for them? Let's say because you're in US, like we have a LLC registered in US, we operate from US market. But what do you think is the best journey or the best way forward for them to scale into that market, and from a country they are not in example from India, somebody who wants to scale, what's like the best guidance that you would give? Because like my total years of experience is not even how old the legit is. So I'm just
Mhm.
like 5 years into the game. You have been into the game for like 10, 12 years plus. So what is the ideal plan for 2025 you'd like to give?
Okay. Well, if you're saying they already know how to do something, that's great because that's usually the first thing I tell people is to actually learn how to do something valuable. Excuse me. Because a lot of people, and this goes back to what I was saying before, want to just do low quality stuff and don't really know how to do anything that's valuable to people. So learning something that's actually valuable to people, whether it's SEO, whether it's specific things with SEO, on page, link building, technical, whatever content, video editing, whatever it is they want to learn, but learn how to do something and get good at it. Because in this life, nobody's going to pay you good money for low quality work. So get good at something would be the first thing I would tell people. If assuming that you're already good at something, the second thing would be to decide, I all right, I'll put it this way. You can do this as a side hustle or you can do it as a real business. I personally, like on Legit, we don't want to work with people that just want to have a side hustle. We want people that are going to treat it like a real business. And even if it is your side hustle, you should treat it like a real business. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean, you have to focus not just on doing the thing that you do, but also on continually getting business for yourself, whether it's through marketplace platforms or direct conversations or having your own website or whatever. You need to remember that your job is just as much to do the thing that you do as it is to fill your pipeline and keep busy. And then you need to take some pride in the way you present your business. So we had a problem with for a long time on Legit is people would want to just come over from Fiverr and just copy paste what they did on Fiverr and not take advantage of how much better we are. Like they don't like Fiverr really limits the amount of like formatting you can do on your text, the amount of text and stuff like that. They'll put up a generic thumbnail and then they won't get any sales. You need to take some pride in that and write some actual sales copy. And what I mean by that is something that actually convinces someone that they need this service. You need to make a thumbnail that actually is like click worthy and a title that's click worthy. It's almost like YouTube in that way because like the thing on you that works on YouTube, if anybody doesn't know, to get traffic to your videos is a thumbnail and a title that people want to click. You need to do the same thing on marketplaces, whether it's Fiverr or Legit or whatever. That's important to take pride in that. And then customer service is something that people suck at too. Forgive my language, but they need to like as soon as you get an order or a question, you need to acknowledge it within 24 hours. Now, I'm not going to be like Fiverr and insist that you be online 24 hours a day because that's not realistic either. But you do need to respond to it as promptly as you possibly can, and take good care of people, communicate with them, explain the deliverable, put it in a format that's easy to download, but basically treat it like a business. So if we want to put this in a timeline, the first thing you do is learn how to do something. Then you decide how big you want this to be. Then you treat it like a business. Then you work on your presentation so that it's very, very good and will convert. And then you start getting traffic. The marketplaces will send you a certain amount of traffic themselves, but you also need to be working to grow your own business through social media, through YouTube, through whatever email, whatever channels you pick. So start from learning something, build something nice, sell it. That's kind of the path I would explain. So hopefully that answers your question.
So I have seen this very big thing that I've seen with marketplaces or basically people who are just trying to get started is they think they do an average work, maybe like a shitty thumbnail, not doing right research, and they think they get success. What people
Mhm.
inherently assume that if I'm going on a marketplace, I'll get a success, which is
Yep.
not the case. This is a very big assumption. And then people start craving about, or they say that they start demeaning the platform, that this doesn't work, that doesn't work, because they inherently believe, and you have been someone who have seen the front end of the platforms and you have seen the marketplaces back end. Let's take any platform in this case, let's say Legit, Upwork, Fiverr, all those platforms inherently. What do you think is like this is how it works? Like what is that? This is how it works.
I guess I'm not sure what the question is.
So basically, like we just want to give a roadmap of getting success on the marketplaces. So that's what,
Okay.
like, I'll just
Yeah,
repeat.
what you said makes sense. Like a lot of people want to list a low quality service and think that money will just fall on them like out of the sky, and it drives me up the fucking wall because like if I open a restaurant, it doesn't mean people are going to come buy a piece of pizza. Like I have to have a good pizza and then I have to tell people about it. And it's the same thing there. But, and I blame Fiverr for this, not no hard stop, because like they will, what they like to do is the drug dealer approach where somebody signs up, they'll give them a few sales and get them hooked. And then they think that that's how business works, is they just do that. And they also think that they have a traffic problem. They think that as long as they get traffic to their crappy offer, they're going to get sales. That's not how it works either. You have to have a good offer and a well presented offer, or all the traffic in the world isn't going to matter. So it's a real problem. I get really irritated when people say, "How do I get orders legit?" And I look at their stuff and it's like you don't, because what you have is terrible. So you need to start over. But they always blame the platform rather than their own lack of effort. So we've proven time and time again that if you have something good and you promote it a little bit, whether it's not perfect, but usually you'll get sales. I'm not sure what your question is though. So is
Yeah,
it
this perfectly answers. So
okay?
like the
Yeah,
packaging,
like
the packaging angle is something people miss a lot. Like a good thumbnail. I've seen. I was just a email came by from your side. I think it was a Usman SEO something like that. A guy
yeah,
just email, and I was seeing that the description was fully editable. You can actually add images in the description, which is not something I've seen on
I
any
know.
platform.
Yeah, it doesn't work as well as I'd like. You have to host the image externally and then like paste it in, but it's still better than nothing.
Perfect. One of the most asked questions I've got, and this is like really coming out from the community, is I don't know why it happened, but a lot of people, I've did a poll and I've got this as a poll example that a lot of people think Legit is just a SEO platform. This is one of the misconceptions that I want you to debunk because this is something I've literally seen a lot of freelancers telling me about.
Yeah, I've it's been hard to overcome that, and I'm glad you asked that because I get that a lot too. It's just people are too lazy to actually spend the time and like analyze and look into it. Now, fairness, a lot of our business is SEO, but that's because I had somewhat of an SEO following to begin with. But it's absolutely not true. I was just talking to Lahiru, who's one of our successful graphic designers. We have lots of successful web designers. We used to have a lot of really successful content writers. AI's kind of made that less relevant. That's industry wide, though. That's not just legit. People just want to push 3 buttons to get content now rather than get content. But before that, we were selling a lot of content. It's definitely not just SEO. I know the page title has SEO marketplace in it. That's just for SEO purposes. Um, but no, we're absolutely not SEO, just SEO. In fact, we're not even just a marketplace. We have other things built in to make it easier for customers to find things. But I get that question a lot too. And I don't know what else I can do to overcome that perception. We're continually working on it, but it's very irritating when people say that because it's just not true. Like I can show success stories of people that have had success in beyond just SEO. You know what I mean? That said, it still is the largest percentage of our business, but it's not just SEO. And if they put in the effort, they'll find the success. So
And
it's
what if
just,
we always recommend a lot of platform to our freelancers? Like, let's say, if you're into content, just go with Container, or let's say you're in development, go with Freelancers or something like that. Like platforms having expertise of a particular sort of talent. So, would
uh,
you say somebody who's good at SEO should always like Legit be their first choice? Like, if they are good at it.
I mean, of course, I would prefer. I mean, it's kind of hard for me to not say yes to that, but I don't want it to be that if you're good at. Let me put it this way: a lot of sites, Fiverr, Upwork, whatever, they try to appeal to everyone. We just want to work with businesses. So if you have a service that or a talent or a skill that will help businesses, you should always start with us. If you have something more generic, like the guy that looks like Jesus or and I hate to keep picking on him. I'm sure he is a nice guy, but like things like that, then Fiverr's a better fit for you. But we work with businesses. If your service doesn't help businesses, it's probably not going to do well with us. Like voiceovers is a better example. Those that's a big category on Fiverr. I thought we have a couple of those, but they don't sell for shit. We don't even have it listed in the menu anymore because it just doesn't sell. And that's because that's not who our customers are. Our customers are business owners. So you need to have a skill that if you have a skill that helps business owners, start with us. And don't go anywhere else.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. And historically, let's say based upon data and like how you mentioned about AI. So what's your view with, let's say, getting AI into legit? Or second, a follow-up question to that is, because you're seeing so much volume, you're seeing so much happening in the backend. Like I can talk for hours, like this would be in demand, that would be in demand, but you like I would say legit have a data. So what do you think is like 25 trend, let's say going with services? Maybe like broad trends, some niche down trends, because I think in SEO also there is something, this Google AI update came and like they're giving those AI summaries and all. What do you think where the industry is heading towards, more of, let's say, on the services side of things?
I mean, I still think SEO is going to do well. Like we're already seeing get traffic coming from Chat GPT. So it's really just a difference of who you're optimizing for. You know what I mean? Like I think that will, I don't, SEO is not going anywhere, I guess is the summary of that. As far as services, I think AI agents is a big opportunity. If you're on Twitter at all, that's all the rage there is creating AI agents. I barely know what that means, but uh, and using Dev to create AI, like Bolt.new, I'm really addicted to making stuff with that. I think
Yes.
there's a lot of opportunity there. Creating prompts or creating things that can create prompts are really good. Adam, one of our web designers, another non SEO that's successful on Legit, by the way, he recently created a site that he's selling through Legit, where you can like put in a bunch of different things, pieces of information, and then it will create a really in-depth chat GPT prompt to create content for it. So stuff like that, I think, is really the way of the future. And as far as AI goes, we're building that into the platform as well. So you'll be able to like type into the chat, help me find my service to grow my cheese shop business or something like that. And it'll come up with it, not just generic stuff. It'll look at other customers that have had similar stuff like that success, have had the similar businesses, and then recommend you what they did and what worked for them. So that gives the freelancer, if they're smart, to the opportunity to figure out the fact that they need to be in a position to grow for based on those things. So it's another way that they'll be able to get traffic. So AI is definitely going to be a big part of a platform, but it's also going to be hopefully the types of services people are offering and looking for as well. That said, a lot of people are scared by AI is going to change what they do. It may mean that you have to get better at something, but like content writers, I think, that went away almost overnight. Not went away, but like significantly dropped. But I think there's going to be a renaissance of that too, where people want to pay extra to get a human to do it because it's so easy to get AI. When they want something really, really good, they need to go to somebody that's really, really good. So the generic Wikipedia style content isn't going to sell anymore, except for here and there. But if you can write really good copy, AI will not hurt you. So I don't think it'll hurt SEO. I think it'll change SEO. I don't think I think it will affect certain industries, but those industries can pivot. And then you can learn other AI skills really easy, like AI automation agency. If I wanted to do an agency today, that's what I would do. Go into businesses and use Make and Chat GPT and whatever to like automate their business. So I feel like I rambled a little bit there. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It just goes with the sync. So, like essentially, like people, I think this is also something I personally, when we were working with a lot of content now, this is what I actually seen a lot of clients complaining about. Like, hey, you just send a document to them and they're like, I don't want a GPT, I want a human translation. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I need some human touch in that. And in the age of AI, I think the valuable thing actually would be a human touch. And
Yeah.
then you can charge for it any length and things. Okay, so let's
Now, the downside to that is they don't want, well, customers don't always want to pay what that's worth. They want AI prices with human quality, unfortunately. So,
yes. But again, I think with time, the research, the human, like people have to adapt to give more value in a less I would not say less price, but I would say people have to go more value. And essentially what every freelancer or agency owner needs to understand is that they need to understand, let's say, how to sell. One of the biggest skill that they need to learn in 2025 is not like what's the skill, what's this, what's that. The biggest thing I think, and maybe you can add some more pointers on how to basically sell, and which is I think the most valuable skill in the year, because people actually don't know how to sell. They just think it's like, and I would say services has the best thing, that in services you don't have a cap. Like in ecom, you can, you know that a X product can be of like Y value. You cannot sell a water bottle
Yeah.
for like $20 until you are liquid. What was that? Liquid
Right.
mountain or something like that. So
Right.
you know that you cannot sell it, liquid death. So you cannot do that. But in service, I think there's no cap. Like a similar logo
Yeah.
on Fiverr would be like $5, and some big agency, Ogilvy type of agency, gonna do it for like 6,000 with
Mhm.
$60,000. We don't even know, like $6 million they can do. So what's your things or like major things that you have learned in regards to selling?
There's two things we're talking about here. Sales in general, the thing that people don't get is they like to talk about themselves and not how they can help the prospect. So I used to have a course called Superstar SEO Academy, and among other things, we taught how to get clients. I had one video in there that was in the cold email section, and the name of the video was "No One Cares About You." And the reason I made that video was that I was looking at the cold emails that people were doing to sell people on their services. And they would start with, "Hi, my name is Devvrat. I am an SEO expert with 15 years of experience getting clients." I was like, no one cares. Like, get right to the point on what people care about, because people have this thing when they get into sales, they think it's all about talking and telling about the product and the service and themselves. What they need to do is listen to the customer and find out what problem they have, and then just tell them how they can solve it. Simple as that. It's not simple, but it's easy, or the other way around. But that's the thing that they get wrong in sales a lot, is that people don't want to listen to what people need. They want to sell them what they have. So the real thing is to have conversations with people, listen to their problem, and if you have a solution, present it to them. And then that's kind of the thing that now sales is a whole big thing that I could go into for a long time, but that's the most simple thing I see people getting wrong in the beginning, and including myself, is that they don't listen and they don't take the time to figure out what people need and then provide them a solution. If you're bad at sales, you can still succeed at sales by just listening to people and finding what they need and giving it to them. Now, most of what we're talking about here is written copy as opposed to verbal sales, but the same principles kind of apply. Like with I'll give two examples. One is the like profile description. Most people want to go in again. "Hi, I'm Devvrat. I'm a 15-year SEO expert with blah blah blah." No one cares. Tell them what you can solve for them, and then give a little bit about your expertise at the end. And then as far as the service pages, that's where people really screw up, because they like to make what I call Wikipedia pages. And what I mean by that is they just give the facts. "This service will give you 4 backlinks in 5 days, and they'll be of these metrics. Click in," and that's it. What you need to do is write persuasive sales copy. There's one of my services in particular that I'm proud of about this. And it's really just a link building service, but I wrote a complete direct response sales letter on it, where I start with the problem, I make the problem worse, I tell them how I can solve the problem, I give examples of people who had that problem that use my service and solved it. I then make it worse, and then I present the offer. So rather than just go, "This service is a PBN link and some supporting links and some social signals," no, that's not what I say. I tell a whole story about how I had this huge problem, and maybe you had this problem too, and I cracked the code and I solved it with this service. So I want to offer that same thing to you. See how I'm even changing my voice? Like that's part of it too. So learning sales copy, if you're going to do marketplace, is really, really important. And almost nobody does that. And the most successful freelancers I see are good at that. My friend Barry Page is on another marketplace, and he's really, really big on that too. He's really good at that too. I'm pretty good at it too. Although if you look at some of my services, some of them are the same thing I wrote in 2015 and need to be updated. But was writing sales copy and is the real key to having text, making sales with text. And sales copy doesn't mean that term gets used wrong a lot, especially on marketplaces. Like if you go into like the writing category and you look at sales copy, it's usually just content writing,
Yeah.
uh, as opposed to like persuasive direct response sales copy. And that's what people need to get good at. Now, you don't have to get Dan Kennedy or whatever level good at it, but you need to get good at it to where it converts. And another thing that people don't do is know their audience. Um, I mentioned that Fiverr tries to appeal to everyone. I don't know if you have Walmart in India, but
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
kind of like, okay, they're kind of like Walmart, the Walmart of these sites, and where they have a little bit of everything. Uh, that's the audience there. On Legit, the audience is mostly businesses. So what works there isn't going to work there. So you need to know who you're talking to as well. And then write your sales copy for that person and for their problem, and then solve their problem. So those are the two things I would say that people need to get good at in sales: is listening. Well, I guess it's three things: listening, knowing who their customer is, and then writing sales copy or using sales scripts that actually convert.
I was actually watching a video. I think it was just like a random video, and it was like, or one of the most famous thing in sales that you say, which is keep your mouth shut
Yeah,
always.
absolutely.
Until you get the money, keep your mouth shut. And this was something I was also a very big victim of. Like, I used to talk, and now with time, and especially doing those GHL calls, like when you do those calls, I was like, I'll not even unmute myself till the point I doesn't like I hear completely what the other guy is saying, and you just let them talk, let them go
Yep.
with the flow, and people just make this.
Yeah. And then you can say like one thing, like they'll give their whole thing and be like, "Yeah, I hear that. So what do you think about?"
Yes.
That's literally all you have to say. I mean, it is more complicated than that. Like I feel like I'm oversimplifying it, but you're right. Like there's people have one mouth and two ears for a reason, right? So you can listen more than you can talk.
And people who are just getting started, they make this mistake a lot. They just, even like I've seen some people who start a call lot saying about their self. And especially when I've transitioned into more of like building an agency, which is having an SDR on a sales team and all. And this is like the number one thing I tell to my team: don't talk.
Yeah.
Like till the point the guy is not saying, hey, am I audible or not? Till that point, don't talk.
Yeah.
Just listen and keep noting down the points.
Yeah. Some people will talk themselves out of a sale. Like the customer will say, "Okay, let's do it," and then they'll like keep talking and like tell them more features. I was like, just okay. If somebody says yes, I was like, okay, here's where you sign up. That's literally all you have to say. Put in your credit card.
I've been a
I was
victim
listening.
of
It's
that.
funny you bring this up because I've been listening to a Grant Cardone book called "Sell or Be Sold,"
Yes.
and that's literally some of the stuff he was saying in there. I mean, whatever you think of him as a person, he's very good at sales training.
He have built a great team, I would say.
Yeah,
So is that I've been seeing this, like you just mentioned that you're seeing a lot of things on Twitter. Have you seen this? Do you think the culture of just like how you did a transition of like you build a platform for the services that you were offering? I see a future where like just like how SaaS is the rage right now. Every guy wants to build a SaaS most of the time. How about like we are building this something, and I would just love to know your opinion, is like how about people start treating agency business or their freelancing business as a SaaS product, which is caring all about like building and sales first approach. In SaaS, everything like product is your key. Building that experience, building that onboarding. I see that like those type of agencies. Like you have been clearly very active in this. Is like make your $10,000 a month, shit something silly, like sell on phone something like which cannot be achieved after 3 months. The client is gone, the churn is gone. I think on
hmm
marketplaces you have insane churn rate. I was just seeing the numbers of Legit. What do you think, like building an agency like a SaaS? We are just coining out this term. We are just working on it. It's like building that experience in an agency, a brand. You might have known this guy called as Eddie Malouf, bad marketing. This guy is building like crazy agency out of it, which could like it's easier to make, let's say, an agency that does $10,000 a month, I would say, but has a very high churn to building something which goes for years and years. Now we are like, the only thing we are optimizing in our agency is churn. We are taking, like, we started from 4 months and now we have taken it to 1.2 years. So what do you think about building an agency in this manner, or in this sense, treating it like a SaaS product?
Oh, first of all, where did you see churn numbers for legit?
So no, I was just seeing the repeat rate. Churn was for our side, like our,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was just seeing the repeat rate of some of the clients, and it was
Okay.
insane.
So it's not really your question, but I'll just mention real quick that we don't really have churn at all because most of our business is reoccurring rather than recurring. So somebody might buy something once and then not buy something for 2 years and then buy something again. So it's churn isn't really the same for us as it is for, you know, so it's hard to really measure. But anyway, I've never heard it phrased quite the way that you're putting it, but I think it makes a lot of sense. Uh, I think what you're trying to say is that with a SaaS or any software business, really, you're trying to keep, or any subscription business, really, you're trying to keep people on as long as possible. Where a
Yes.
lot of agencies just focus on filling the top of the bucket, meaning continually getting new customers, and don't focus on retaining clients. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yes. Like those
Yeah,
new age agencies, people showing out those their Lambos. I'll help you make your first $10,000 a month. All you need to do
yeah,
is run Facebook ads, call clients, sell a PIF, 3 months, 6 months, and they're done. In 6 months,
yeah,
if you ask them what agency you are, oh, I just stopped that agency.
yeah,
Like the brand
yeah.
part
So,
is very big
so
mistake.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just saying the brand part, like people have stopped treating agency like a brand, and they're
Mhm.
just heading towards more of like cash cow thing.
Yeah, it's I blame the Imam Gadzis and the people like that, like you're saying with the Lambos and stuff.
Yes,
Uh, and because for such a long time, build an agency was such a easy thing to do and like a quick way to make money. So yeah, it's absolutely a problem. And nobody ever talks about how to keep clients. So I agree. I guess I've never heard it phrased quite as the way you're putting it, but I think that's smart. My friend Gregory Ortiz, I don't know if you know who that is, but he has a whole presentation he does on client retention where he sends them like a newsletter and like updates from not just on their stuff, but on like throughout the industry, how he builds rapport with them and things like that. So yeah, it's a huge opportunity because it's much harder to get a new client than it is to keep an existing one. And I'm not going to pretend like I'm an expert on that, but the way I think you do it is to communicate well with them. Obviously, get them results. That's key. That's not enough. Like people will tell you, if you get them results, they'll stay forever. That's not true. After a while, they will take that for granted, and they'll just want to cancel and say, "I don't need this anymore." So you have to continually offer them new value, but also treat them like a human being. A lot of us forget to do that. Like we, get to know their kids' names or ins and outs of their business and get to know them as people, become a valued partner rather than just a glorified barista. You know what I mean? Like somebody that they actually like consider a part of their business. And that helps. Communication is key. And there's a line there. Like you want to communicate in just the right amount that person wants. Because some people will cancel because you communicate too much. Some people will cancel because you don't communicate enough. So you need to find that line, and it's different for everybody. It's a lot like dating in that way. But yeah, I don't really know what the question is, but I think that you're smart to focus on doing things that reduce churn because it's such an easy way to make your business more profitable. Something we focused on at Legit in the last few months is re-engaging lapsed customers. So again, we don't have churn in the traditional sense because we don't have a lot of MRR, but
yeah.
we do have customers that bought once and then never bought again, or used to buy a lot and then don't buy anymore. So I've just been literally personally emailing a lot of them and saying, "Hey, how's it going? What can I help you with?" That sort of thing. The results have been mixed, but spending as much time or more on reducing churn as you do on acquisition is important.
Perfect. Well, this perfectly answers the question. So, the next question is, how do you transition from a freelancer? Like, would you ever, like, I know that there's a team that works under your profile, Superstar SEO. A lot
Big
of
team.
people
Yeah.
don't know. A lot of people think that Chris really works under Superstar SEO. So, what's something you would like? I know you have been doing this for like, I would say over 10, 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's your like mantras, I would say, or what's your best strategy on building the team? Because once you start transitioning from 2 people to 5 people, the biggest issue I've seen people having across is like in the first phase of this podcast, we discussed a lot about, like, let's say selling it from any country to any country, which is selling globally. How do you go about building an international team? You just told me that you have developers in Ahmedabad. You just told me that your support team is in Philippines. So how do you build about this global team? Your mantras of building a team for 2025.
I have a whole presentation on this I've done in the past that I'll send you a link to as well. But yeah, I mean, for legit, the legit team, we have people in 6 of the 7 continents. We just don't have somebody in Antarctica.
Antarctica.
Yeah, but we have somebody in every other continent, 12, 14 time zones, something like that. We have people in Serbia, just to give context, we have people in Serbia, Philippines, India, Bangladesh, the United States. Who else? Who am I forgetting?
Pakistan.
Australia, Egypt, Brazil, and probably something else that, Kenya. So yeah, so lots of time zones. Um, the upside to that is that it's always business hours for somebody, so someone's always available. The downside to that is it's always business hours for somebody, so somebody always needs something. So, as far as how to do it, build a team, the nuts and bolts of it, we use Slack. I kind of use Slack as like our office. We have channels for specific purposes and topics and things like that. We have a monthly team meeting. Not everybody can attend because there's no time zone that works for everybody, or there's no time for everybody because of the time zone, but most everybody attends. I have a corporate structure. We have my partner who handles like the dev side, not like actual coding of it, although he does a little bit of that too, like running the dev side of it. And then we also just collaborate on general business things, general business. I have a weekly meeting with him. I have a chief of operations. I have a weekly meeting with her, and then I have the guy that runs a superstar business. Is his title's director of operations, and he and I talk pretty much all the time. And then the four of us have a meeting every other week, and then I also have an executive assistant who like keeps track of my schedule and stuff like that. I have a weekly meeting with her, so things like that. Um, but basically having clear roles, what everyone needs to do, what's expected of them, but also the culture is really important too. Like making it a fun place to be. We have like inside jokes, we have meme Friday, things like that. Um, yeah, I mean, as far as what to look for in someone, you need someone that will fit in with your work ethic and your culture and what have you. I know that's kind of vague, but like somebody that is skilled but is an asshole isn't going to work. Now, somebody that is a great person but isn't skilled isn't going to work either. So you need to find that sweet spot of talent and personality so it works well.
How
And
do
then
you
just
go about like finding the talent? Like, what's the platform, or you just take people out of Legit, or do you have a formal hiring process in place?
not really. I should, but I've just been very fortunate in that way. Like most of the people we have either come from referrals from the other people we have or from Legit itself. Occasionally we have to go to like an Upwork when we need like a monthly or something like that. But most of it has come like, for example, my first hire was the director of operations. His sister now works in our customer success department. Uh, my partner knew a guy who recommended somebody for customer success several years ago. She is now our customer success director, and her sister and her brother-in-law, I believe is the relationship, also work there. Then she referred both of them. So, and then everybody else, for the most part, we've pulled from Legit. So, or from a referral from one of them. My executive assistant was a referral from my partner's executive assistant. So I guess referrals are the best source of that. That's not really helpful as an answer because that's not something somebody can just go do. So I don't have a good answer on where to find talent because I've just been fortunate in that way.
I think the crux of it is like you should have a community. No matter what you're doing, you should have a community.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely. Yeah. Like for so many reasons. Like the community is the reason we still exist or existed in the first place. Like the Superstar SEO community is where Legit came from. And then the Legit community has its own unique culture. And then that has led me to other connections that have allowed me to build a team and to build a business and to build marketing and branding and whatever. So yeah, communities is absolutely key.
Yes, being, I would say, in both sense, being in the right community and also like being a part, like building your own community. I would say both are important because for us also our initial hires, all the most of the key team members that we have. Now we are going with a very formal process of hiring, but I would say that's where we have got our main things. So yeah, we are just coming to our final question.
Okay.
What's your final advice for people who just want to build a global business? I think a lot of people are very limited. Like I cannot build a global business maybe because I cannot speak English. I don't have a good business. I cannot scale a business because let's say I'm in X part of the world. As you said, you
Mm-hmm.
have people from every other continent working for a US businesses like yours. So
Mm-hmm.
I think mindset is something we could throw a lot more on because technical things is something we can easily help them to encounter. But I think mindset is one of the biggest barrier that people have before like scaling internationally. It's like they just want to get a job in
Mm-hmm.
their city, in their neighborhood, in their county, in their state, in their country. That's it. And you could
Yeah.
just like how much things have changed over the years because you have been at the forefront of the things, how much things have changed over the years of like building a business from one country, scaling it globally, how easy the things have become.
Well, it really doesn't like. uh, I get this a lot. Like, can this be done even in India? Can this be done in Pakistan? Can this be done in Bangladesh? Can this be done in the UK? The answer is yes. The internet doesn't care. You know what I mean? Like, you know, uh, it's a limiting belief. Like, um, somebody will say, I can't do this because I don't speak good English. I was like, well, then pretend like you can. You know, I mean, somebody else can do it. So just pretend like, just do what they would do. Or, go learn English. But in the meantime, pretend like you can. Or, I'm not as smart enough to just pretend like you are smart enough. Like that's my answer to any like limiting belief is just pretend like it doesn't exist. And then just eventually it won't. So there's that. But uh, yeah, I mean, there's no reason you can't. Like the internet, everybody has. I mean, I should. I guess I'm showing some privilege there, but most everybody has access to the internet, and that's literally all you need for a global business. Like, let me explain it this way. My partner, who I've been working with for almost 8 years now, we've met in person 4 times.
Same here.
Yeah, two of
Actually,
those times were total coincidence. Like I happened to be in he lives in New York. I happened to be in New York for a whole other reason. And we just went to dinner. We didn't even talk business. I mean, we talked business, but it wasn't a business meeting. Another one was he was in North Carolina. I live in South Carolina. North Carolina is the state right next to it. He was in North Carolina for vacation. So I went up and met him. So two of those 4 times were not even business related, or maybe it's 5 times, but whatever. And then our chief of operations lives here more or less. She lives maybe 30 minutes away from me. I've seen her maybe 5 times in person. And nobody else, the only time I've met anybody else is for the first time. I spoke at an event in the Philippines back in September. That was the first time I'd met any of them in person. I've known them for years.
yeah, I saw
So
that. I saw
yeah,
that.
yeah. So it doesn't matter. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's no longer a limitation. It's not 1989 anymore. So you say mindset is part of it. And that's the thing, the mindset that they need is that there's no limitations anymore. I was just talking to one of my former students, Manny, who lives also in India, yesterday. And, he's talking about how he has all these clients in the United States now. I remember when he was working at Bank of America answering the phone. You know what I mean? So anything's possible. You just have to decide to do it and then decide that you are going to do it and then list out what it's going to take to do it and then list out what it's going to take to do those things and then just go do them. Don't think about them, don't plan them, don't worry about what could go wrong, just start doing them. And it'll all fall into place as long as you don't stop. And
Perfect.
as far as a global business, just if that's what you want, and it probably should be because there's a lot of money. Like, why limit yourself to one region? Just do it. Zoom. You're in India right now. I'm in the United States. It's a Sunday morning for me. It's probably Monday for you, or I don't know,
Sunday night. Sunday
Sunday
night.
night for you. And here we are having a conversation like you would with somebody down the street. Like it's a false belief. It doesn't exist anymore. And just do it if that's what you want to do. Figure out what it's going to take, and then just go do it.
Perfect. Perfect. So that's a wrap, people. Go and sign up on Legit. If you're a freelancer, agency owner, I'll have a link just down the podcast. If you're watching it on YouTube, if you're watching it on Facebook, it's down in the comment. You have a link to sign up. So yeah, go and sign up right now. It was nice talking to you, Chris. Let's take.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad we were able to arrange this. I'm doing a bunch of these, and this is the first one, so I'm excited to talk with you.
And can you share with people when are you coming to India? If let's say, because we'll make this podcast live in 24 hours. So when are you coming to India? Just the dates and the time or the
Yeah,
event.
I'll be there on January 10th. I'll get there early in the morning, and I'll be there till the 14th. The event is the 11th and the 12th. I think that's right. And then from there, I'm going to fly to Ahmedabad for a few days to just meet with our developers and just do some tourist stuff. So I'll be there for about a week.
Perfect. I'll also mention the schedules down there, down below. So if somebody's watching in the right time at the right place, you could just watch and join him at the
Yeah.
event.